Solo les quiero dar la bienvenida a todos en este espacio. Nos da la emoción de tener a Arianna presentar este cafecito con nosotros, con activistas increíbles del sur y a nuestra colega de Nueva York, Daniela Simba. Y solo quiero decir que como un hombre trans latinex, ustedes son unos superhéroes, seguimos su corriente, han creado un gran legado para la comunidad trans, ambos en el sur y a nivel global. Y agradecemos por todo lo que invierten en nuestra comunidad, y gracias por ser líderes y por compartir con nosotros, y dejaré que se presenten y darle la palabra a Arianna. Gracias, Arianna, por ayudarnos.
Hola, hola, ¿cómo están todos? Estamos acá en una sesión más de nuestro Encuentro 2020, un virtual encuentro.
At our Encuentro 2020, a virtual encuentro, and I wanted to thank particularly the Latino Commission on AIDS that has we've always been working together to eradicate HIV in the South and that pandemic, right? And to eradicate HIV, it is very clear to us that we also have to do social work. And today we're going to have a very important panel about transphobia and ZeroTransphobia. And the Latino Commission on AIDS is doing a great work alongside other organizations in Southern Florida to amplify and have a bigger event in November. And so right now we have an important campaign that we are going to present, and we're going to talk, and who our guests will talk more about. They are guests that I love. I know them for so long, and I feel so happy to have each one of you as guests, right? So we are going to allow themselves to introduce themselves. And beforehand, I want to thank all of the technical work. Today is a whole effort. You know, having this labor or this task of being moderator. We have some guests, and we're gonna give them the space to share about themselves. Andrea Molina, Daniela Simba, Kayla Gore, who are all part of the transgender community. And we also want to thank our fabulous interpreters, Naida and Sayuri, and of course the technical support of Joaquin, Jose, and Judith at the Latino Commission of AIDS, who empowers us, right? Our entire transgender community here in Southern Florida. I feel so proud to say that I work directly with Latino Commission on AIDS to be able to eradicate transphobia and eradicate the HIV pandemic by 2030. And so beforehand, I want to invite our panelists to introduce themselves, to tell us briefly who they are and what part of the US they are joining us from and what their work is. So we'll start first of all with my dearest friend, Kayla Gore, co-founder of My Sista's House, in addition to being a Southern regional organizer from the Transgender Law Center. And she's an activist that I've seen. I've witnessed her evolution, and she's a whole ass leader. So Kayla, welcome. Tell us who you are and what do you do through your work as an activist in the social work with us in the South and Latino Commission on AIDS. Kayla, can you?
Awesome. Thank you, Arianna, for that beautiful introduction. I'm Kayla Gore. My pronouns are she, her. I'm based here in Memphis. As Arianna said, I am the Southern Regional Organizer with the Transgender Law Center, as well as the co-founder and executive director of My Sista's House, located here in Memphis. I'm privileged to be here, and I want to thank Jose for inviting me to be here today. And I'll pass it on. Thank you.
Gracias, thank you, gracias a Keilita. Y ahora vamos a
Thank you, Keilita. We're gonna invite my dear friend all the way from New York with so much Ecuadorian pride, as I say, within our transgender community. Daniela Simba, who's also representing Trans Power in New York City, who is also a coordinator of this very important campaign called ZeroTransphobia, a campaign in which all of us have to be coinciding with this campaign. So please, Daniela, tell us who you are and tell us briefly about this campaign so that we can expand a little bit more about ZeroTransphobia and why it's important in these moments. Hi, Arianita. Thank you. Thank you for the introduction. As you mentioned, I work for the Latino Commission on AIDS here in the city of New York. And this is basically the second year where we're going to be focusing our efforts on the campaign of ZeroTransphobia, because we want to eradicate the stigma that particularly transgender and gender nonconforming and intersex people face. And so for that, a lot of organizations, we have joined together to project a different image from what we usually see as the transgender woman, transgender man. And so that's what the campaign entails. And so we are coordinating everything to be able to get some invitations ready very soon. All of your organizations will be invited to participate, and so we can coordinate a national effort. Yes, of course, we will be ready. And one question as well, I don't know if Ana Andrea has arrived yet or not, but Ana Andrea Molina, she's one of our warriors here in the South. She's part of our panel, but she had a bit of an issue because there were a lot of things that we had to do. Because imagine, right now within this new pandemic, we wake up early, and everything, the whole day is on Zoom. So, you know, we'll be on the phone and sometimes things happen, but as soon as she can, and Andrea will connect with us and we'll be able to talk with her. Kayla, I wanted to start talking about, within this panel, about ZeroTransphobia. I wanted to ask you a question. How does transphobia influence and how does it influence the power of trans people in regards to accessing medical care amongst us? Do you feel like it's necessary to have this campaign in these places to be able to grow and develop? Tell us.
I don't think I'm getting the translation, Arianna.
Oh yeah. Oh, okay. I'm sorry. So let me ask you, how the transphobia and the trans power shape public health and healthcare outcomes?
I still don't think it's coming. Can you say that again, Arianna? I'm sorry.
Yeah, no problem, my love. We understand. How the transphobia and the trans power shape public health and healthcare outcomes.
So it's funny. I'm in my doctor's office now.
I love it.
And I think my audio is just a little bit better. Fix that. So yeah, so how does transphobia affect healthcare, especially for trans folks, especially in the Deep South? It plays a huge role, as we've seen with anti-trans legislation as it relates to religious freedom, with medical providers being able to discriminate against trans folks in the healthcare settings. It sets a real tone of transphobia and bias amongst their employees. So it's not just from the top level, it trickles down and matriculates through the organization, which for us trans folks who are accessing those services, it puts us in danger, because for me, I take that provider's integrity into account when they're administering anything to me. And in certain situations, I'll negate accessing healthcare due to the fact that I know that there's an underlying tone of transphobia within an organization. So I think that that plays a pivotal role, specifically here in the South, when it comes to trans folks accessing healthcare.
Yeah, thank you so much. They are very important and specific in the healthcare access. And the same question for you, Daniela. La misma pregunta para ti, Danielita. Cuéntanos cuánto crees
The same question for you. Well, how do you think the transphobia and the power of trans is of benefit for access to health? Well, I think we need to give ourselves some time to take a look at what is happening currently. We live in the middle of a pandemic, and unfortunately, many of the trans women are being impacted. People sometimes feel like they don't identify with the trans community, but we have a lot of in common. We use the health services for our hormones, surgeries, and other medical needs. We understand the health system, and while you're young, folks might not be interested in that, but we very much understand how the system works. What happens with insurance? Do they approve a surgery or not? Do they approve a procedure? Do they approve medication? And also the thing about power over our bodies, it all has to do with how much power we have to decide of what we want to do, the image that we want to see. It's also the same with cisgender women, the ability to have or not have children. So there are a lot of things in common that we share with the public, the general public. So to eliminate transphobia is fundamental. And once you achieve it, you can see the changes. You can see happier people. You can see people that have fulfilled the transition or are in the middle of a transition, but that they no longer see that as a worry because they have addressed that. It's very important. So right now, we are being impacted. We're suffering under this pandemic. So we can all identify with how expensive health access is. The insurance, do they cover or do they not? Or do we need two insurance? And at times, three types of health insurances in order to have a procedure or take care of ourselves or have access to medication. So I think it has to do with it. And this campaign is very important. And most importantly, we want this message to be related to people that are not trans, cisgender people, so they can become involved because it's a matter of a humanitarian crisis, of human rights. If human rights are not respected for a certain group, no one will be happy. So it does affect the mental health of people. And when people don't have this access, they can't provide to society, and it reduces the potential they can have in the society. If it could just address very simple things, it could be a matter of someone to see a therapist or psychologist, something so beautiful, something so easy to make that allow that access to people without discriminating. Because once you discriminate, you are categorizing this person in an inferior category. So it affects everyone. And it affects people that they think it doesn't affect them. And in any case, if we take into account the priorities of the people that are at the bottom and then we're supporting, then everybody wins. And that is the message that we are providing this year. And that's why we chose the topic for it to be protect, celebrate, and also help the trans community and non-conforming people. That is the feeling and the vibe that we have this year. Yes, very, very important. Important, supporting, celebrating our lives and the way that we live our lives, and no more transphobia, and getting rid of stereotypes that our friend Estrella was sharing from Los Angeles. in Georgia, that she was sending a message of stereotypes in the healthcare system that is done against people like us. So now I see on the screen the woman that we've been waiting for. And as I mentioned, the work that we do with the pandemic is so big, and people don't understand how busy we are. So when I see new emergent leaders, new women will tell another leader that there's so much time and there's so much work that everyone should join. But without further ado, I would like to invite Grandiose, the Hurricane of the South, Andrea Molina, Executive Director, Trans Texas, LOTT, and founder of Gran Casa, Ana Andrea. Ana Andrea, please go ahead. Folks know who you are, but tell us, what do you do? What have you been doing? Where are you located right now? Because I know that you're between New York and Texas. And what do you think? The question that we were talking about ZeroTransphobia, very important, and also regarding health access. Yes. Go ahead. Well, thank you very much. Oh, wow. What a present introduction. I thought it wasn't me. I was waiting for someone else to get called. So this is a lot. Well, thank you. Thank you for the introduction. I really get surprised when folks talk about me. I sometimes think you're not talking about me. You're talking about somebody else, because I have only said that I'm just another crazy person. But yeah, the only thing that I've done is get to work. And yes, thank you very much. It is a pleasure to see you, Daniela. It has been a long time since the last time I saw you. I send you hugs. I sent you trans power and a lot of love for everyone. I know there are a lot of folks that I haven't seen, but hopefully, with the grace of God, we will. But we are organizing an event a little bit later that is for the folks that have done are in the sex work industry. I know that in Texas there hasn't been a lot of support, help for the immigrant community that's transgender and folks that are involved in sex work. So we have an event this afternoon. But I wanted to say that it has been a blessing and a great opportunity to be able to be like a leader, right? I didn't know much about activism. I'm a very new activist in the movement. I have been working only for 5 years, and I respect the leadership of many of you that have been doing the work for many years. And unfortunately, in Texas, there weren't much leadership that was transgender, and so it was really forgotten. And today we have the opportunity to have an inclusive space for trans voices. And thank you very much. I think transphobia, in order to get rid of it, we would educate, and also the internal stigma that we're dealing with. The systems work in ways that sometimes we don't understand, but those systems that are oppressing us and are putting us to head against others, to elevate others and provide privileges to certain people, and forgetting some. Leadership shouldn't be a competition. When I see a trans woman, I don't see competition. When I see a trans woman, I see someone that will protect me, and we can fight along each other. But very few times we forget that, because the systems put us against each other. And unfortunately, there has been a lot of differences between each other. Now we see a lot of youth leaders that have the only truth and forget the narratives of the trans trans women that have been murdered, and where from those new their activism was born. So you cannot forget the trans women in history that are
older that are forgotten in the streets and their homes. We need to dignify the trans women, because if we forget our elders, trans women, we are forgetting our history. And that's where internalized transphobia starts. So we need to be proactive in our communities and find strategic ways of how to reach the our elder trans women, and not due to fame, and not because these trans women are going to benefit you in your work. We need to do work that sometimes is not public to really, for it to really be admirable work, because many times activists are focused on the camera, on visibility, appearing in all photos. If you want to work, get to work. We are going to work. In the state of Texas, I invite other peers, and they say, I want to monopolize the work in Texas. Well, no, that's not the way it is. Get to work. The work will exist in different metropolitan area, rural areas. There is a need. Like, as if there is a lot of Walmart, well, we can have a lot of organizations that support trans women. It is not monopolizing. It's not a monopoly. This is supporting the work, but we cannot do the work by just wanting to be in the press or have the cameras. I think the internalized phobia is something that we should work on a structural level, and also maybe healing programs to heal the trans narratives that have been damaged across history. And that is all. And just to make it more brief, I really thank you for the invitation. I admire all of you, and thank you for the opportunity. I send you a lot of power, a lot of love, and I am here listening to all of your testimonies. Very proud to hear that you are also doing the work. Thank you. It's very important to inform. The campaign of Zero Transphobia has been by the Latino Commission in 2019 to honor the Day of Remembrance of trans people. The campaign Zero Transphobia is designed to create awareness to get rid of transphobia within the Latinx, Hispanic communities and the nation in general. In this roundtable, we are organizing because we need to protect, support, and celebrate the lives of trans people with the campaign Zero Transphobia. Kayla.
How important is for you a very, very important transgender activist from the South, woman of color, how important is be part, be present and helping this campaign, the Zero Transphobia?
Can y'all hear me? Okay. I'm in the doctor's office. They're doing blood work on me now. Sorry. But I think this is the perfect setting for that question around how does this fuel our activism? And I think it's like me being a person who is accessing healthcare. It helps me to inform myself and informs my work around advocacy. I can speak from real life experiences when it relates to my activism, because I can say I experience accessing healthcare in a different sense that a lot of folks in the South experience, because one, I have health insurance. Two, I have I guess the information and the knowledge that a lot of folks do not have access to in order to know when I'm receiving adequate health care versus when I'm not receiving adequate health care. I think that plays a pivotal role in my activism. Yeah, it's like if you haven't experienced, it goes back to the Denver principles, meaningful involvement of people affected. And you can't really advocate on behalf of a group of people if you are not experiencing such things. So that's what it basically helps me to do. And it's just ironic that my appointment ran over into our prayer today. But I think it's just setting the tone for like what we should experience and what we should expect when we are accessing healthcare. Does that answer your question, Arianna?
Yes, sure. You answer the question, and also it's very important the communication between groups or between populations, right? I think we have like when I tell to everybody, I know you for a long time. I'm really highlight
A long
this.
time.
Yes, I highlight this opportunity when working together, right? When your culture, when your whole context and the Latino population too, with the same, but working together is the most important thing for us. So yes, thank you. And it's very important has a huge activists like you and from other communities working together and eradicate the transphobia, because I think it's very important eradicate from house, right? How we can go and come in and
Absolutely.
say, yes. So thank you, Kayla, and I'm very happy to you be here in this conversation. And Daniela, tell me, how the organizations like us, like Arianna Center or like OLTT, aquí en el sur, o como Estrella, Comunidad Estrella, la grandiosa.
Or like Community Estrella. Well, they mentioned that was the hurricane, but really she is the hurricane of the South because she really undertakes a lot of the work. What events or what other things we can coordinate locally to support this campaign that is very important of zero transphobia? Videos, how things are changing. Tell us more. Tell us. Well, thank you, Arianita. Thank you, Kayla, because while you gave us a testimony, you were also giving us an example with the visuals and all.
It also makes me think about how access is a lot easier for some people than others. So thank you, Ana Andrea. I love you so much too. I miss you the most. And thank you for bringing up this point to light, right? The internalized transphobia and homophobia. I think all of us in the community, we feel it. So yeah. So responding to your question, this year what we have planned is to form a network or of organizations that are supporting the trans and gender nonconforming community, and not just through words or just by placing their logo, but because they are actually taking actions and have a invested interest. And that's very important because that's how we can combat the stigma and assumptions that people make about the trans community and gender nonconforming community. And it's because we're not always very well understood, and so there comes a series of myths and calamities that come with that, given that society simply doesn't understand or has a different agenda. And so yeah, I would love to see organizations involved. We want to highlight the stories of people through videos, and we're planning to have them be short videos so that people can see what's happening in the South, right? The needs are not the same in the South because the clinics are further away. You need a car to be mobile. Where the resources perhaps are not available like they are here in New York City, where we have plenty of resources available to access medical services, right? And so, yeah, making them much more accessible. They are much more accessible here, although not ideal yet. But in the South, all of the benefits are even less accessible. And it's also noticeable that there's like an additional push needed. And so what better can we ask for than having stories in unison? And so we also want to push a progressive policy. Maybe you know, trans men and women face a lot of discrimination because of a lot of these policies. So we want to be an example to the Latin American countries that also are suffering a lot, in which a lot of transgender women are being killed, right? Because it's not just here, it happens there. It happens in my country, in Ecuador, and I connect to social media there and I see what's happening day to day. And so people who are hopeless, they need help too. There's a lot of trans girls who don't have a stable job, that have a lot of economic deficiencies, that don't have the power to make their own decisions. They're hurting too. So we want to be a connection to those folks so that they have some kind of support uh, through those of us who live here in the US, and to try to eliminate that stigma, right? You all will receive an official invitation. We're working on it this week, and so I'll make sure to send it through email so that you can be cordially invited to the campaign. We want to have it be a joint effort, and we are creating the structure. And once that structure is in place, the logistics in place, then we'll let it out. We'll launch and really do a lot of interesting things. But for now, I will share that we will need people's stories as to how laws affect our communities, right? People who come crossing a border, perhaps with a very heavy story, and who try to access services here, but they don't know where to go. And so who do they rely on? Is organizations that you all have, right, put on a high pedestal in terms who support these communities. And a lot of girls will come to New York as well, and so we welcome them and we try to help each other as much as possible. And so that's what it's about, is maintaining a network of organizations that truly help, and that people can access these in a visual space, in a virtual space, so that we can access these orgs that can truly dedicate themselves to the trans community. That's the idea, that's the plan, and let's have fun. Yes, that's it, exactly. I think that is important to identify, and also thirdly, like, why not name it, right? I know that there's a lot of groups and small agencies. I remember that I would mention my name and that I wanted to work with certain agencies, and nobody wanted to work with me. When works did want to work with me, I felt empowered. I felt good, happy. And so that's a way to destigmatize this work, and to build towards zero transphobia. Okay, and so my dear friend Ana Andrea, I want to ask you, what are some of the ways in which our communities can work to reach zero transphobia in the South and beyond, including Puerto Rico, who we're seeing that they are joining us as well. A dear greeting to Puerto Rico and all of those of you who are joining and appreciating us. We know that you all are also going through difficult moments with the passing of our dear matriarch of the trans community, Soraya. And so we're with you. And through this panel, we want to dedicate and hold space for her. We want to mention, as Andrea mentioned earlier, that we respect and honor the people who have been here before us and have paved the way, which has been very hard. So, and Andrea, I'll repeat the question because I'm sure you forgot already, but what are some of the ways in which our communities can work to achieve zero transphobia in the South and beyond? Uh, First of all, I want to remember Soraya, and my condolences to the comrades in Puerto Rico who have been grieving after her loss. I think that Soraya was a woman who spoke directly, always. She was always very clear with her ideas. And there's so many trans women in Soraya's position that have not had the opportunity to have a camera in front of her, but that are likewise dealing with their own pain. And so we have to set a goal to work with our communities, our senior communities. And I hope that you all can invite me to visit Puerto Rico very soon. And I think that I really appreciated the conversation and that Daniela was having about working in teams, right, and network. I think we have done a lot of work, and throughout the time, especially those of you who have been working for a while within activism. But I think in this occasion, let's consider that working together, it can also weaken the local work. And so we have to find strategies to provide resources and funds so that this work can grow and develop. And it's not just to like add more tasks to all of the work that we're already doing, but without, with a lack of resources, but we need to create new resources. And so I think that if we want to have a plan and strategy in place, we have to identify the resources, because there's a lot of groups who don't rely on, who don't have access to funds and resources. So to add on to this work would be a lot heavier. So I ask you all to consider this, given that new groups or other groups that exist in the South and other parts of the country really are in need of funds. And the work, they've been doing it, and they're doing a great work. However, I've heard about Trans Latina Alliance in California, and work groups in Arizona, in New Mexico, Louisiana, New Orleans. I think those groups need resources, and we need to send support their way if we want for them to join onto this network, not just, add more work to them, but we need to provide them some relief as well. And in regards to the question that Arianna was making, I think that one of the main ideas that we have to build within this community to reach zero transphobia is to build healing and safety spaces. And a lot of our trans communities have been victims of within the same movement throughout history, in which it is perpetuated constantly. This violence is perpetuated through these same organizations that say that they want to support and provide us resources and services. So historically, the community has a huge debt to the trans community, given that often we've only been part of the agenda, or we're only mentioned to raise funds or get money, but the leadership isn't held by trans women. And usually it's men and cisgender men, and right. And so we have to make amends with all of this harm from across time, and we have to talk about what are the rights in regards to equality and respect when we don't have it within our own movement. How often do we need these spaces for healing? Because trans women continue busting our ass, being on the streets, providing sex workers, or being in the hospitals, seeing trans women dying from polymers and silicone that our friends are putting in their bodies, because we don't count on laws, integral medical laws that support trans women in transition. And so these are things perpetuated within our own social movements. Our own movement has been complicit with these oppressive systems. And it's only through reconstructing the parameter of our movements that we can realize this. We need to reflect on until at what point and at what moment leaders, community leaders, and this movement in itself perpetuates this internalized violence within our trans communities. Right? Healing is important.
Very important. Healing
very important.
is so important.
Most
because
of all
it's
for those
very
of us who
important
are doing
for the
this work,
people that do
right?
this
Often a lot of
work.
people don't
For us, some people
understand,
don't
but there
understand.
are some spaces
Sometimes
that
there
are
are some
harder to
spaces
work
that are
with
much
than
more difficult than
others
others
in terms
regarding
of
conditions.
conditions.
I'm coming back
I
from
just came
Puerto
back from
Rico,
Puerto
and there in Puerto Rico,
Rico.
you end up tired, exhausted, working because it's the things are more potent, more stronger. And I think it's very important to talk about healing. Well, Kayla,
let's talking something about you and about that is little nosy or little I want to know personally, right? Because I know you have the My Sister House and you make a campaign. With that campaign, you saving a lot of lives, people with housing, with services. Can you explain, can you share more about your campaign and how you outcome this campaign so great?
Definitely can. Thank you for bringing that up in this moment. So we have a tiny house project here in Memphis, Tennessee, where we plan to build 20 tiny homes for Black and brown trans folks here in the Memphis area. And what's unique about this project is that we're not only building homes, but we're providing home ownership. So these folks will have homes that they own for the rest of their lives. And what we know, when people have stability in housing, that they can plan ahead and that they also have safety and security, because that's what that means. And I think that's the reasoning behind Casa Ana Andrea, from Arianna's place, from my sister's house. I think those are the intentions that we all have when we've created the spaces that we've created. And we want to take it a little bit further. So amidst COVID-19, a lot of our folks were experiencing homelessness who had never experienced homelessness before, due to not being able to access employment opportunities, because a lot of places were being shut down and closed by the government. Then there was also folks who were sex workers or survival sex workers were not able to adequately do their jobs in a safe and secure environment, because everything was focused more so on the average citizen or the average person who are here in the United States. It was never more so focused on the marginalized communities like Black and brown trans folks. So a lot of folks, who are doing organizing, who are on this call and who are behind this call, did a lot of work. And some of the work that we did was formed a committee to figure out how can we eliminate this problem of houselessness in the future, so that if something like a pandemic like this were to ever happen again, our folks wouldn't be scrambling. We wouldn't be pushed to capacity to house folks. And then we came up with the Tiny House Project. We launched a campaign on GoFundMe, and within 24 hours, there was $17,000 in it. Yes, and then today, there's like right at $290,000 in it. This is 2 months later. Then we also have other fundraisers that are going on that folks have locally organized, regionally organized, and nationally organized that have brought our grand total of fundraising to about $340,000 to date, which is not our goal. Our goal is $450,000, so we're $110,000 short, and we're hoping that we can fill that gap within now and the end of this year, so that we can complete our project by 2021. The summer of 2021 will be complete. And just to give folks an update, we have acquired land here in Memphis, Tennessee to build these homes on. We have the support of an architectural firm out of Indianapolis who has offered their services pro bono to basically design the homes and the communities that we're going to build. And there are going to be a lot of more updates. And I see that the link was dropped. So follow that link, share that link for all the immediate updates on everything that's going on with the project. We are anticipating the actual designs from the architectural firm this week. So once those designs comes out, we're going to post those on the GoFundMe. We're going to post them on our social media. You can look up all of our social media at MSH Memphis. And our website is mshmemphis.org. And if anybody has any questions, please feel free to reach out to me. If this is something that you want to emulate in your neighborhood, your community, it's an easy way to end homelessness that I think. And the only way to truly end homelessness is for permanent housing to be in place. And what's more permanent than home ownership?
Bellissimo. I love it, and congratulations. And I think that is the way sometimes we as a transgender, we need to make some campaigns where they can feed it in our community, but other people maybe don't understand. And these kind of great campaigns and great projects is how we supposed to highlight. Daniela Simbas dice que ella lo va a hacer networking y vamos a poner la campaña para que puedan lograr y llegar a la meta. Bueno, me estaban preguntando que qué era
They can go to the go.
hosting o el...
So now they're talking about the organization that is moderating this panel. Arianna Center is an organization of services and advocacy with the mission to support, empower women of color, transgender in Florida and Puerto Rico, and where there is a need, generally in the south, of those services. So we have some services that we provide, ambulatory care, tests, HIV tests, and connecting you to resources that for access of health, which is very important for PrEP and prevention, and is very important. Kayla.
Email address. So please, if you can share in the chat list your email address to connect you for helping with your campaign. Así que, bueno, pues eso es lo que estábamos haciendo.
And well, that's what we've been doing, that I personally think that is very important to support these types of campaign, specifically with agencies with such power as the Commission Latino of AIDS and our great friend Guillermo Chacon, who is very socially conscious to these type of communities, the communities that are very vulnerable, and the importance that he is giving to the community transgender, specifically the Latinx transgender. That is something that no other agency at the national level is taking into consideration. That is why, for me, being part of the team and working together with Judith, Jose, and with all of these grandiose, great people, Danielita, the Latino Commission on AIDS is super important. And so I feel very, very appreciated and very happy with all of the love that they're giving us. And it's very important to support these campaigns because first of all, it visibilizes these vulnerable communities and it brings attention to the transgender communities that this is deserving of a life of dignity. We need to support, celebrate, and share. And that is why it's super important, and protect also. And it's very important for us to support, to be with this campaign. And from Arianna Center of South of Florida, for me, is very important for all of us. Well, we're going to see if we can run some events online. And to support this campaign in 2020, now that everything's going to be so virtual, it'll be great of all these small orgs like mine or Andreas to have a great connection with Latino Commission AIDS, to have a great event. And let's see if we can do it. And Danielita, let's see if we can do it. And we can present real stories from us before they kill us, and not one more, right? It is very important. I was watching a documentary, Sacha Paga, of the Latino Commission on AIDS from an activist in Puerto Rico. So yeah, it's very important to elevate these type of campaigns. Well, I think we are coming to an end. There are 2 minutes remaining.
The conversation is little coming to the end. So let me bring back to Kayla Gore to tell if you can say any words for the table and any words for this campaign, and say goodbye to the whole people who are watching us.
First of all, I want to thank the Latino Commission on AIDS. I want to thank Jose and definitely all the other panelists who have poured into this conversation, because it's been a very rich conversation. I'm thankful that you all have put on this intensive program during everything that's going on. Like it's very moving that we are continuously fighting for the liberation of all of our folks, especially when it comes to accessing healthcare, especially when it comes to migrant communities, and then also merging the conversation between Black and Brown folks. Like, it's like, this is a pivotal moment, and I think we're honing in on that, and I'm just super grateful and thankful that I was able to be a part of it.
Thank you so much, Kayla, and it's a pleasure to have this conversation with you especially, who is working very close with the Trans-Latinas and with the Trans-Latinx community. So thank you. Danielita, tus últimas palabras para despedir y para...
Danielita, your last words to continue with this conversation, Encuentro 2020. Well, I want to thank all of my colleagues in this commission to put this conference, and also with Arianna Center. It is a very, well, long and a lot of work. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to talk about the ZeroTransphobia. I am very excited. I have a lot of ideas. I feel inspired. You all inspire me. Thank you, Andrea, for your light and for mentioning about healing is very important. Thank you, Kayla, for that project. That is super interesting. I support you here from New York with some experience that might serve as support. And yeah, that's all. See you in the campaign, and let's enjoy. Yes, exactly. See you in the campaign, and let's enjoy. And Andrea, your last words, your importance about this campaign, and your last words on Latino Commission on AIDS. Okay, I'm good. Well, thank you to the commission to allow leaders that are so badass can connect here and support the community, because these spaces are needed in Spanish, because we should also work on language, justice. And I think that is something that has been seen. And I send a lot of love to Kayla, Daniela, and Arianna. And I think we need to organize, continue to organize and work as badass trans women know how to do. You can count on me with what you need. And to the community, the only thing that I want to say is that during these times, we have had a lot of losses. There have been a lot of pain in our communities and irreversible damages, but we are not alone. We are united, and as a community, as a family, we need to continue to construct our base and not to think that other trans people are competition. I will repeat again. When I see a trans woman, I don't see competition. I see a leader. I see someone that can protect, someone I can fight with for there to be equity. And I send love and a lot of trans power, and foremost, healing in your hearts that this pandemic has cost to the trans women that have died due to COVID and murders. And I hope it brings you light. Well, yes, exactly. And I would like to thank, just to close, to the fabulous interpreters, Naira and Sajudi, And Joaquin, thank you. Thank you for all the media and the IT support. And Judy, the grandiose, beautiful friend, angel for all of us, and grandiose Jose, who is very involved in this campaign and so kind and giving for the trans community. I adore that smile. And now I'm seeing your face. There has been 2 or 3 margaritas that you owe me from last year when it has been a pleasure to moderate this session that's talking about zero transphobia and the importance of this campaign led by Latino Commission on AIDS and organizations like Andrea Center in rural areas and different areas. And this is important in order to get rid of transphobia here with the campaign Zero Transphobia here in the United States. And Jose, we've already fulfilled our duty. Yes. Thank you very much. And I promise you, I will give you the margaritas in person when we can. So don't forget, keep counting them. We will continue with our program tomorrow, 10 in the morning. And I will include the link on the chat. The theme will be people that are hurt can heal other people. And that's going to be the theme for the morning. Thank you so much for this conversation. And we are going to continue to find out how we can amplify and celebrate the trans community. Each day is a good day to give love to a trans woman or a trans person. And Joaquin, I'm not sure if you want to share some last words.
That we appreciate you. We're so grateful for the work. Thank you for being such incredible leaders and allowing us to learn so much from you all. And just so much love for y'all. Thank you for everything and this beautiful conversation.
All right, we'll see y'all tomorrow. Nos vemos mañana. Hasta luego.